grant programs, including the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Humanities, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. The Oprah of the Oval Office, or double plus good dystopianism? How did all this come to be? Several related news events that exemplified what has come to be known as the post-factual world account for the meteoric rise and final breakthrough of 1984 to the top of the bestseller lists in January 2017. Within hours of Trump's swearing in, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer heatedly insisted that the inauguration had been the best attended ever, period, regardless of what the photo and statistical evidence might indicate. 2 days later, on the Sunday morning television show Meet the Press, Kellyanne Conway, then a close advisor to the president, defended Spicer by explaining that his false claims were merely alternative facts. Alarms rang out across the globe that Winston Smith could not have come up with a better line in his cubicle at the Ministry of Truth, where all fabrications are merely what could be termed alternative facts. Within minutes of the novel's historic reconquest of first place on the bestseller list, as had already happened during September 1983 to April 1984, 34 years after its original publication in June 1949, staffers from news organizations such as CNN and PBS were in touch with me for comments about what Orwell would say. I dubbed Conway, whose inadvertent masterstroke of euphemistic newspeak suddenly made her the darling of the publishing industry, the Oprah of the Oval Office, a wonder woman who could immediately turn serious books, above all dystopian classics, into bestsellers, even if they had been selling poorly or had been out of print for years. Her notorious phrase immediately went viral and was translated into numerous languages. Not that the Fourth Estate abuses language any less than does the administration, or is any more unlikely to be ignorant of the English language. After my own interview with PBS, I read the following sentence in its published report on the Amazon bestseller story. Born in 1903, Orwell lived through 2 world wars and saw the rise of totalitarian regimes on an unprecedented scale. Unfortunately, yet predictably, this was not deliberate irony, as I later ascertained. Signet regarded the entire development as double plus good. Its edition of the novel soared even higher in the 2 months following the inauguration, enjoying a 10,000% increase in sales, whereupon the publisher immediately announced a new print run of 100,000 copies, including an additional 25,000 of Animal Farm. In Britain, sales of the Penguin edition of 1984, which had been selling approximately 5,000 copies per week in the run-up to January 20th, multiplied following the January news events, inducing Penguin to print 75,000 more copies immediately. Random House also printed an extra 175,000 copies of the novel based on sales forecasts. Obviously, the sales of 1984 have risen in response to Trump's audacious attempts to manipulate facts throughout his long presidential campaign and since his November 2016 election victory. His tall tales grew, if anything, even more Bunyan-esque during his first week in office. For instance, besides outlandish claims of mass voter fraud and his contention that he had lost the popular vote in the November election because 3 million votes had been cast illegally, Trump maintained that the science behind climate change is a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. In his personal manifesto, The Art of the Deal, 1987, which some critics regard as a self-revealing statement of his life philosophy a la Hitler's Mein Kampf, Trump discusses his style of bravado and penchant for truthful hyperbole, which he considers an innocent form of exaggeration and a very effective form of promotion. Unsurprisingly, among other post-election bestsellers on Amazon.com was Trump's The Art of the Deal. By late January, it had consistently secured a place in the top 15. Sanity is statistical, not? It is interesting that the connection between alternative facts and Orwell's dystopia was first.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.